If I had $1 for every restaurant owner who's asked me, what should I have my restaurant managers do? I would be a multi-millionaire. Hey, restaurant pros, if you're wondering the same thing, make sure you stay tuned and I'll answer this question for you. I'm David Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and I've been coaching restaurant owners since 2003, and I'm really glad you're here to learn. I can't wait to shine a spotlight on what you should be expecting from your restaurant managers on a daily basis. But before I get into that, if you like tips and tricks like this, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, oh yeah, that bell so you're notified when my next video tip comes out. And for more tips and tricks for running a profitable restaurant or to hear restaurant owner success stories, make sure you tune into my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all the popular podcasting services. So, what should I expect from my managers? Like you've heard me talk about it, in order for you to be successful, you've got to have managers. But all too often we bring people into management and they fail. Well, you need to lay out what's expected. And here's a great outline of the four areas, I should say, that you've got to pay attention to and make sure they're ready for. Number one is Restaurant 101, right? Hot food hot, cold food cold, clean, safe work environment for the guests, employees, wow customer service, incredible product. We are put on this earth to create memories. Hospitality is key. Restaurant 101 is great hospitality. Do note that in today's day and age, takeout, pickup, delivery, all those things are just as important now when we look at our guests getting the best experience possible. So we now kind of modify our Restaurant 101 list now. But here are some things that you've got to be doing to make sure we can deliver on Restaurant 101, a consistent, wonderful guest experience. Well, you got to worry about staffing properly. Managers need to staff properly. In order to run a successful shift, you have the right people, the right number of people each shift. By not having too many, having too few, by not having too many rookies, and so on. So staffing properly is critical to being a manager, knowing how to do that. We need to make sure we're prepared. We need to have prep lists in place that are followed by management and all the cooks on a daily basis. Because I will tell you 99 out of 100 times when your kitchen falls down, you're in the middle of a rush and somebody goes, gosh darn it, I need diced onions, runs off the line to dice some onions, and now you fall behind forever. So in order to continue on Restaurant 101, that path, make sure you are prepared for the shift, not only with people, but product. We need line checklists in place. Your managers follow up on line checklists. Is the product look good? Does it taste good? Is it the right temperature? Not only for safety, but that we don't lose product. Hey, they're supposed to train the team. Your managers train your team on a daily basis, whether it's a pre-shift or an absolute training system or retraining. Training is the only way we deliver our guests the same experience every single time, that everybody knows what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, more importantly, by when. And last but not least on this Restaurant 101 part is managing the floor. They've got to manage the flow. Like the tide coming in and going out, they have to be that extra body, from greeting guests as the tide comes in, to taking orders, to working the expo, to delivering food, to busing, to dropping tickets and greeting them on their way out. Managers have to understand the flow of the business and manage the floor. Now, the second area we've got to pay attention to are checklists and cash controls. After Restaurant 101 are checklists and cash controls, because we're going to create a culture where the details matter. We care about what things look like down to the detail. We care about every penny making to the bank. So managers need to ensure all checklists are complete by the end of every shift. If they allow people to go home without doing their side work, they have to do their side work for them. Now, it doesn't take too often for managers to do somebody else's work till they finally don't let people to go home without doing it. But the reason we do this is another culture piece. We're going to turn our culture around to a culture of close to open, that we close every shift 100% ready to open, so we have each other's back as managers. We're not walking in and going, who closed last night, and bitching and moaning. We're never behind. That's critical. Managers are going to make sure every penny makes it to the bank. So that means we're counting drawers. We are counting out our servers if we have server banking, and no server can be short. They have to be even or over. We're going to double check our master bank. We're going to double check if we have petty cash. We're going to check these things all throughout a shift to make sure when that deposit goes to the bank, that is exactly how much money should be going to the bank. The third area that managers have to pay attention to is budget. They need to execute every day on budget. To do that, they have to schedule on budget. So they have to put systems in place like the Restaurant Payroll Guardian, telling our managers how many dollars they have, but also how many hours they have by position next week to go into the week on budget. Instead of bringing people in and praying we're busy and cutting them and we're slow and it's too late. They need to execute on budget and control labor. So when they see they miss their number that day, they gotta the next day and the next day and the next day have this small plan, this little plan to get back on track. They've got to purchase on budget. We're going to give them something like the Restaurant Checkbook Guardian that tells them not only, hey, here's how much money you have to spend, but if you go over $500 in food, 1 penny over, you cannot place the order without seeing me. That's giving up ordering without giving up the checkbook to ensure they stay on budget, that you don't walk into the restaurant one day and have $3,000 extra product on the shelves and you wonder why you can't make payroll. So they manage our cash just as much as they manage our costs. The last piece about budget is make corrections to get back on budget, right? If my labor was high this week, my cost of goods sold was high this week, what are you going to do over the next 3 weeks if it's the first week of the month in order to get back on budget? What are you going to do the next 2 weeks if it's the second week that has gone by? You understand? Because I pay attention to the budget on a weekly basis, things I can control, I can then be proactive and change my trajectory for the business. What about people management? The final category, people management. As a restaurant manager, I want you to hold your team members accountable. In order to do that, you have to train them what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, more importantly, by when. And if doing so, if your team members can demonstrate to you they can do it on their own consecutively, we now change accountability from a negative, I'm going to hold you accountable, to a positive, answerable. Because your employees get to decide, since they know their obligation, what their job is, they get to decide to do their job or not, and they're answerable for the resulting consequences. We're going to have no, oh, I didn't know that's what I was supposed to do. You didn't tell me. We have people go, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. I need your managers to retrain your people. Every time they see somebody doing something wrong, they have to realize people learn differently. Auditory, tactile, visual. Best trainings have all three. Identify how that person learns, retrain them, make sure they've got it. Your managers need to find out what's unique in each individual they manage. Because as a manager, when I find out what's unique about you, I can push that specific button to get the most out of you, to motivate you to do your best. Your managers have to make sure everyone feels appreciated. Now, I'm going to tell you, appreciation is the biggest buzzwords around. It doesn't mean they have to be liked. They have to feel like they're a part of something bigger, that they are contributing to the business, that you care that they're on the team and they make a difference. See, ultimately, your managers are going to ensure you're an employer of choice. If you want to attract people, keep people longer, then your managers have everything to do with your staffing problems or your victories. Ultimately, if you want your management team to be a proactive team, to make sure your restaurant delivers every step of the way, every single day, you've got to make sure your managers are covering these bases. If you're tired of not being able to leave your restaurant because no one else knows how to run it, I want to make sure you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can leave your restaurant. It is possible to build a team of people who know how you want the restaurant to run, with trained and responsible people in place. You can give yourself time away. What would you do if you had time away from your restaurant? Would you sleep better? Would your relationships improve? Would you feel more relaxed? These are all things you deserve to experience as a business owner. It's why we own our own businesses. If you would like to learn how to own a restaurant that doesn't depend on you to be successful, click the link in the description to watch a free video to learn exactly what you have to do. Also, be sure to subscribe to get my weekly tips and watch these 2 videos to get more information and guidance for running a successful restaurant.